Please be advised that the views and opinions of the host and guests do not reflect those of the station, the management, and its network. Face the nation. A pleasant day. This is Freddy Gabando. Welcome to our program, Face the Nation. It's been quite a while that we didn't have our conversations with Bangko Central Governor Felipe Medalla, and now we are privileged to have him here on our program, Face the Nation. Sir, welcome to Face the Nation. And how would you characterize now the current trend of the economy, knowing that the president is headed for his second State of the Nation address in July?
Well, from the point of view of economic growth, it's doing quite well. As you know, of course, we suffered heavily because of COVID. The economy contracted by almost 10% in 2020. The economy has now recovered the loss. In other words, production now is higher than pre-COVID because 2021 was 5.8% growth, and 2022 was 7.6. Unfortunately, as the economy was recovered, there was a new problem. The new problem was inflation, which started early last year. In the past, 15 consecutive bad months was already the worst case we had in the past. At the rate it's going, we will have maybe 18 bad months in a row. But it's also to the credit of the president that it's 18 rather than say 20 or 21, because he made a very hard decision, which is to import what is in short supply. Of course, kung mag-isip tayo as much as possible, wag mag-import kasi kawawa naman ang mga farmers. Pero this time, he made a hard but right decision. So, ang forecast namin by September or October, below 4% na yung inflation. Kasi 4 consecutive months kasi na pababay. Nagsimula yan, more than 8% noong January. Ngayon, yung pinakahuli, 6%, 6.1% na lang. At ang tingin namin, by September or October, below 4% na siya. And the average inflation next year will be around slightly below 3%. So after a very bad period of inflation, we will finally be back to normal, back to target. So, of course, a perennial problem, of course, is people complain that hindi lahat nakikinabang sa growth na ekonomiya. Pero ang problema, totoo naman sa lahat ng mga bansa. Yan, mahirap talaga na walang maiiwanan. Kaya ang sinasabi ngayon ng gobyerno, para wala namang magutom, try natin yung food stamps. Bigyan ng effectively binibigyan mo ng equivalent na pera ang mga tao na mahihirap, pero yung binibigay mong purchasing power pwede lang sa pagkain. Hindi pwede sa sigarilyo, hindi pwede sa bisyo, and so on and so forth.
Sir,
So, I think tamang direction din yun. Tamang direction din yun.
so sa tingin mo, Governor, na we're talking about food stamps, is that something that can be managed to ensure that, well, the benefits will really be felt by uh, the marginalized sectors because they are the victims of high inflation rates?
Well, ang critics will say, well, paano yan pag baka gamitin yan ng politicians for patronage, doon lang ibibigay sa mga followers niya, yung talagang mahirap, hindi ibibigyan. Ang experience naman ng ibang bansa is, if well managed, kaya yun. Yung, yung tulong, doon makakarating sa talagang nangangailangan. Of course, kung papabayaan natin yan at hindi babantayan, pwede mangyari yun. Halimbawa, sa Europe at sa Amerika, effective naman siya. Ang talaga nakakatanggap, yun ang nangangailangan. At magaling naman ang listahan ng DSWD. So sana sa mangyayari, yung talagang yung mga naiiwan ng pag-unlad, matutulungan pa rin.
What other strategies is the president thinking of to maintain the growth rate and at the same time slowly bring down the inflation rate, which is the culprit in really hitting hard our people in terms of, prices of prime commodities, especially agricultural products, sir?
Yung iba talaga wala tayong control. Halimbawa, tumaas ang presyo ng langis. Wala naman tayong langis eh. Imported yun, ano? So, pero ang dahilan kaya ang presidente ay head ng Department of Agriculture, at least kung may improve yung supply ng pagkain, malaki tulong yun. Kasi sa mahihirap, 60% ng gastos nila pagkain eh. So, ang napakalaking tulong doon kasi natatarget mo yung 60% ng gastos ng mga mahihirap eh. So, kaya napaka-importante na pasiglahin at palaguin at gawing mas productive ang agriculture. At i-improve ang supply chain. Ano ba? Yung minsan, pansin mo, sobra-sobra yung certain products sa ibang isla, kulang sa ibang lugar. So yung ability to transport the products, napaka-importante rin. And of course, kung iisipin mo, napaka-importante rin na may trabaho ang mga tao. Kasi kahit medyo tumataas ang presyo, kung maganda naman ang kita, di okay pa rin ang mga tao. So ang question doon, yung isa napaka-direct ang solusyon, which is improve mo yung agriculture. At kung kulang, mag-import. Ano? At yun namang pag-i-import, walang favoritism. Hindi naman yung makaka-import lang yung malalakas. Ano? So dapat competition. Ang ideal diyan, lahat ng willing magbayad ng buwis, ng duties, kung gusto mo, taasan mo yung duties. Kung naaawa ka sa farmers. No? Pero, huwag kang mamili kung sinong mag-i-import. So, yan ang nangyari sa rice. Mataas ang tarifa, 35%. Pero kahit sino pwede mag-import. So, mukhang yan ang mga reforma na kailangan gawin. Yung successful experience sa rice, ang tawag diyan tarification, sana malipat din sa ibang produkto. At of course, mas importante sana, gamitin ang technology at science at technology sa agriculture para tumaas ang production. Para hindi na kailangan mag-import.
Governor, yung tarification, that has been quite successful because it has brought in funds which are very important in supporting the program of agriculture. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, tama ka doon.
Ang tanong ko nga ho at tanong ng karamihan, would you say that, yung tarification now is helping in funding the president's program for farmers to ensure that, hindi sila nakukulang sa pondo to manage and produce food or agricultural products sa kanila?
Dati kasi, before tarification, kung mura sa labas ng Pilipinas ang bigas at mahal ang bigas sa Pilipinas, ang nakakakuha ng diferensya ay yung mga sinuwerte na nakakuha ng import permits. Ganon din ang nangyari sa sugar. Yung mga masaswerte na nakakuha ng permit, sila yung nakakuha ng tubo sa pag-import. With tarification, sa gobyerno nagpunta yung difference. Bigyan kita ng numeric example. Suppose ang presyo sa labas ay 15 pesos. Sa Pilipinas, 15 pesos. Sa labas, 10 pesos. Siyempre, pagka binigay mo yan sa mga kaibigan lang, sino makakakuha ng 5 piso, no? Pero pag sinabi mo, may buwis na 4 pesos, basta nag-import ka, o at least 4 pesos ng difference sa gobyerno pupunta, at ang nangyari sa rice, itinulong yon sa farmers. So, nagkapera tuloy ang gobyerno para tumulong sa farmers. Yun ang idea na yung price difference between imported and local, magpunta sa gobyerno kaysa mga favored, lucky importers. Ang mapapansin mo, yan ang criticism doon sa sugar. Kasi ang sugar hindi pa tarified eh. So, nagkakainggitan. Bakit siya nakakuha ng permit? Bakit ako hindi? Okay, so yun ang lesson doon sa tarification. But at the same time, okay, importante rin na increase ang imports. Kasi nga kulang eh. Yan pang isang dapat gawin na dapat ang gobyerno maganda ang tracking ng supply. Kasi kung huli ka nag-i-import, di matagal bago mo mag-normalize yung presyo. Yan kasi usually history ng imports natin eh. Too late. So, ang mas maganda yan, yung privado sector na lang ang mag-decide kung kailan mag-i-import. Pero siyempre, kung ikaw naman yung farmer, sabi mo, ay wag, bawal mag-import. Ano? Pero yan talaga ang sakit ng ulo ng presidente. Siyempre yung farmer, gusto niya mataas ang presyo. Yan naman, consumer, gusto niya mababa yung presyo. How you balance this interest of the consumer with the interest of the farmer. At pangalawa, sometimes, yun namang hindi naman farmer at hindi consumer yung nagbe-benefit. Yung mga swerte lang na nakakuha ng permit. Nagkaroon pa ng monopoly. Alam mo, lahat na nag-i-import magkasangga. So, magkukulyod yan para itaas ang presyo. Yun ang isa pang side. Isa pang side na reforma. Huwag pabayaan yung pollution to rig prices. Yan yata yung finding ng congressional investigation sa onions. Yung tao na nakakontrol ng storage, kasi yung storage, hindi mo pwede lagay yung onion na basta-basta bodega eh. Kailangan control yung temperature. Ang nangyari, na-control nila yung storage. Na-manipulate tuloy yung price. Noong panahon naman ni Alcala, ni President Aquino, bawang naman ang nangyari yun. No, na may isang grupo na control niya yung supply, then control nila yung imports, magkakasangga yung nakaka-import, tumaas ang presyo ng bawang. So, marami na tayong lesson na kailangan bantayan lahat yan. At in that sense, mabuti na ang presidente ay nasa Department of Agriculture. On the other hand, medyo mahirap din para sa presidente, dalawa trabaho niya.
Well, sir, what are the other major concerns which should be given priority by the president, knowing that he's on his way to deliver his second State of the Nation address 2 months from now, sir?
Well, I guess he will, of course, say what has been accomplished. And then I'm almost sure he will also say what has yet to be accomplished. Prima, napaka-importante na improve ang collection ng buwis. Kasi kung walang pera ng gobyerno, di puro utang. Okay, so hindi rin maganda. No? So, on the other hand, pag ang solusyon mo sa pagbawas ng utang ay bawasan yung gastos, pangit din. Kasi ang dami namang services ng gobyerno na kailangan din. Ano? So, ang pinakamagandang paraan is ayusin ng pagtawag natin ay tax administration, both by the customs and the BIR. And that's the collection side. The spending side, sana maingat yung paggastos. Tama yung priorities at yung presyo na binabayad ng gobyerno ay hindi labis dahil may bidding. So yan ang kung pakinggan mo parang napakasimple, no? Pero ang dami-dami bansa na hindi nagagawa yan, no? Kasi maraming tukso along the way, no? 'Di ba? Pagka meron ka pinaburan, na-rig yung system. Kaya kailangan din ng good management, administration, and vigilance. So I guess the president will say, ito yung aking mga priorities. Halimbawa, sabihin siguro niya, mahuhula lang ako gagawin yung tulay na nagko-connect na Bataan at saka Cavite. Kasi napaka-importante rin ng infrastructure. Can you imagine yung traffic na yun na kung galing kang Bataan, babalik ka, iikot ka, di ba? Balik ka sa San Fernando Road, balik ka sa NLEX, balik ka ng Manila. Sa triple yung distance kung may bridge, diretso ka, diretso ka na. Laki ng time savings, ano? So, yan ang other part na gandahan ng infrastruktura para bumilis ang daloy ng mga goods and services. At mas mura ang cost of moving products from production to consumers.
Sir,
At isa pa niya, maganda dyan, pag maganda yan, marami tayong ma-attract na investments. So, dadami ang trabaho.
Sir, how about downsizing and right-sizing of government to ensure that this exercise, which the president has vowed to implement, will realign resources of the national government from high employment rates?
Ginagawa na nakaplano ng gawin yan na narinig ko yung mga pronouncement na both Secretary Mina at Secretary Jokno. By the way, hindi ganun kadali yan dahil a lot of the government employment is necessary. Like, majority ng employment naman ng gobyerno, teacher, police, military. So, in other words, right sizing will probably be affecting only 15-20% of the bureaucracy. So may savings pero hindi ganun kalaki kasi in fact, maraming parts din ng gobyerno na kulang. Lagi sinasabi, kulang tayo ng teacher, kulang tayo ng, in some cases, kulang tayo ng police, and so on and so forth. So, lahat-lahat yan, patong-patong yan. Ano? Pero pinaka-importante, yun na nga, galingan ang tax administration, gastusin yung pera ng ayos, at pag ginawa yan, gaganda ekonomiya, at dahil gumaganda ekonomiya, dadami lalo ang mag-i-invest. So it becomes what we call a virtuous circle. Ano? Good things beget good things. Of course, the other side of it is a vicious cycle. Bad things beget bad things. Dahil hindi maganda patakbo, discourage ang investment, mahina ekonomiya. Then mahina ekonomiya, lalo na discourage ang investment. At pag tinignan mo naman ang mga sinasabi ng mga tao, mga analyst, they agree with many things that the president is doing. For instance, yung pivot ng presidente na improve the relationship with the United States. Kasi yung previous administration medyo perceived as hindi maganda yung relationship with the United States. So if you talk to investors, makikita mo na ang kanilang perception ng presidente has the right foreign policy and has the right economic policies. Of course, that doesn't mean everything is all right. Ano? Kasi ang dami kasing problema eh.
How would you grade the president, sir? Has he done?
Well, I cannot grade the person who appointed me because pag sinabi kong very good, sabihin sip-sip. Ano? So, of course, I'll say very good. Ano? Pero it's not good that presidential appointees rate the person who was appointing them because at worst it will be seen as psychopathy, you know.
But as it is, sir, if you look at what has transpired over the past year and months of this year, the foundations are there, the accomplishments are there. But if there is anything pressing which could hurt and harm the growth of the country, what would those be?
Okay, as I said, 7.6% growth last year was very good. And we expect this year to be 6%. That's still very good. So what are the major threats? The major threats, unfortunately, are external. Let's say, pumangit yung geopolitical tensions. Ano? Nag-escalate yung conflict between the major nations. Ano? And it will have some negative consequences. The other one is ang pangit ng weather. Either too much, tayo Pilipinas kasi, either too much rain or too little eh. So yan ang mga pangit nangyayari. But of course, what we have to understand is itong mga problema natin na they've been around for decades. Hindi siya ganun kadali masolusyonan at masolve.
Sir, a final word from you.
Well, I am very optimistic about the economy. I am very optimistic that inflation will be back to normal. Of course, that doesn't mean that everything is fine, but I'm also quite optimistic that Filipinos, though they disagree, can work together to produce a better future for all of us.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Bangko Central Governor Felipe Medalla giving us insights on the progress of the the governance of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to see to it that the economy will sustain growth, and we are maintaining the support for the president, and we should be one in ensuring that we all succeed. So thank you, sir, for joining us here on Face the Nation.
Thank you again. It's my pleasure and privilege.
Face the Nation.
A pleasant day. This is Freddie Obando. Welcome to our program, Face the Nation. It's been quite a while, but today is a very special day on Face the Nation, as we are honored to have with us former National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos. Welcome, Mom, and it's a great pleasure to have you again to discuss some very important issue. How are you, Mom?
Okay, rather busy because my work in Congress is really a continuation of my work as NSA. But this time we're really looking at security sector reform through legislation.
Well, I'll start. Now, let us look into the concept paper which Philippine ambassador to the United States, Mr. Romualdez, has released last year in October. And this would involve Afghans that will be allowed to pass through the Philippines before they are transported to the United States. What is your view on this particular move by the ambassador of the Philippines to the United States?
Well, first of all, he is out of order because the architect of our foreign policy is the President of the Republic. Just because they have the same surname or, their link somehow doesn't say anything. But this is the same person who in fact advocated that we send Filipino soldiers to Ukraine. So you know where that's coming from. Yes, it is true that we are signatory to the treaty that will oblige us to help refugees. But this time, this is a different situation altogether when we embrace the Jews when they were being kicked out from all over the world. But this time, these are Afghan refugees who are really the results of 20 years of occupation by the United States. I'm sure you know that they hastily departed and left the Taliban there. And if we're just going to be a processing zone for them, then why are we doing this? And we're stupid people. So let them process this in the US because the US is a much, much bigger territory. They have a bigger, human resource pool there. And I don't know that we should be taking on this responsibility.
Should this be a priority for the national government or even Congress to consider? Because the Secretary of Foreign Affairs appeared before the Senate to explain the position of the Philippine government on this particular request made by the United States.
Well, I don't know that we already have a position as a government, but I do know from the news that I have read that even top officials in the DFA do not agree with this because this is, I think, has been talked about since late last year. Yeah, and because I was still NSA then, I was not privy to this because of reasons which you already know. But yes, because of the circumstances surrounding this, I think I will be so much against our even considering to be a processing zone. After the Vietnam War, we of course processed the Vietnamese here. They were lodged in Palawan and in Bataan, and people forgot the many conflicts with the local populations there because the locals saw how well treated they are. The good housing which is provided by the United Nations, and there was really friction between the local population in Palawan and the local population in Bataan. Do we want that kind of problem again here when we have so many other problems? So this is not even top priority. This should be like 176, if at all, in our totem pole of consideration.
What is the bottom line for Congress to to express their position that this is something that is not acceptable for the Philippine government. And how do you think would the president respond to this position that has been made by the Ambassador Romualdez, and at the same time somehow being supported by the Foreign Affairs Minister?
I don't think Ricky Manalo is supporting Babes Romuald this year. I have not read anything like that, especially if he reflects, if Ricky Manalo reflects the position of his top officials, which who are all against the proposal. So I think what Congress will do, because these are representatives of the people, they should echo and find out from their constituents what they feel about this. And then they should report it in a plenary headed by Speaker Martin Romualdez. And such, views should be articulated and sent to the President of the Republic. After all government authority emanates from the public. So, if the public says no in regard to this matter, then I think our political leadership should follow what the public wants, assuming that that is what the public wants, because I may be just a minority here, pursuing a negative view about this proposal.
Now, a statement was made which says that, the Philippine ambassador to the United States, that some 50,000 Afghans who are former government employees of the United States in Kabul and families, should they be allowed entry here in the Philippines? And why should they be brought here? Why not ship them directly to the United States instead of using the Philippines?
Precisely our question, unless this country thinks that we're just following them, willy-nilly, and that should not be the case, because the president, you will recall, on June 12, declared quite explicitly that we should not be subservient to any country. So are we still a colony of the U.S., so that when the U.S. dictates something, we just simply say yes or no? I don't think so. I don't think that is where, I've been in the cabinet for 6.5 months, and I've seen President Marcos, and I think that isn't the position that he wants to take.
Will it be of great danger for the Philippines if and when we allow this to happen?
It's not so much the danger. It's really the context within which this activity is going to be done. And, I did a 4-month research fellowship in Hong Kong. And every day I go to a library where beside the library is a closed camp of the Vietnamese. Every day I walk by that closed camp, I see children clambering up the barbed wire there, and I see their faces. Children should not be placed in closed camps, I mean, anyone should not be placed in closed camps. And this, so many Afghans here, I'm sure they will be placed in closed camps. Why are we doing that? So the United States is a vast territory. They have only 30 million people for such a vast territory. They have a huge human resource pool. So why not process them there? Why are they going to process them here? Some people are saying, oh, this means United Nations or the US will pay us money. There are other ways of raising money. We have so many poor people to whom we shall pay attention. And adding to our plate 50,000 refugees to take care of, is not acceptable. By the way, to be fair to the refugees, these are not uneducated people. Some of them are interpreters, some of them are doctors, dentists, professionals like us. So they should be given every opportunity to work in the United States and to be residents there. I don't think we should be offering those kinds of opportunities here because we don't have them. We also have our own unemployed, so we have to pay attention to our own unemployed before even paying attention to unemployed of other countries.
What is the extent of our foreign policies with regard to refugees and to aliens coming from war-torn countries, ma'am?
I think generally, because if we follow our obligation under the international treaty where we are signatory in regard to refugees, you are supposed to welcome them, when they arrive at our airport, etc. But that said, I think you are aware that we also have restricted nationals. because of our national security concern. So we also have that right to, look into our sovereign right to prevent restricted nationals from entering our country. Otherwise we will have national security problems and challenges. So you will have to work around our commitment under that treaty, providing protection to refugees, and our own sovereign right to have restricted nationals.
Well, what impact would it make on our security if and when this will be allowed to happen?
As I said, I'm really thinking more of the refugees more than our security, because if they are placed in closed camps, and this 50,000 is a big number, there are four zeros there, and I'm sure they will be placed in several camps. And again, let us anticipate what we experienced during the Vietnam War, that there will be conflicts with the locals. So why are we inviting more challenges when we have so many more challenges right here in our domestic sphere?
What would you advise the president to do, considering all direct and collateral consequences of 50,000 Afghans and their families coming into our country? And further, do you see any relation of their entry with the additional base sites requested def- by the Defense Department of the United States?
I don't want to link it there to the EDCA sites that they got from us in January. But I think what the president can do is to politely inform the United States that given the situation in our country and given the situation in their country, that the U.S. is in a much better position to process them. Then, in addition, I hope the president really thinks seriously about one of my last memos to him, which is really to consider multi-alignment. Right now, even Francis Macron wants to be invited to the BRICS in Johannesburg, which means the BRICS is now really punching above its weight. And BRICS is good for us because it will provide commerce, trade for our pineapples, mangoes, etc. It provides us really a trade that will boost our economic growth. That is where we should go.
A final word from you, Mom. This has been a very informative conversation with you.
Yeah, let me just reiterate what I had recommended to the president when I was still National Security Advisor. That Mr. President, multi-alignment is the way to go, and multi-alignment will really be lying on a platform of multipolarity. Not one hegemon, not two hegemons, not four hegemons, but a multipolar world.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here on Face the Nation. And we do hope that we can have you join us again in the future as you give us insights on the national security situation of the country. Thank you very much, Mom, and God bless you.